Okay, the first step to creating your neurographic art is to draw a line similar to string sitting on the paper. So I want to have nice flowy moves when I make this string or the lines. And I want to move my pen using my shoulder, not just my wrist, because that'll make it more difficult. So I'm going to start off on the edge of the paper, and I'm going to draw a string, and I want my string to overlap in certain areas. Now that's enough to start off with. We're going to add more later. The more you get confident, the more strings you can add on there so that it looks like a finished piece. One of our elements is space. We just used line, and now we're using space. So if you look at the white spots here, they create shapes, right? And we want our shapes to be very organic, meaning we're not going to have any corners in our shapes, okay? We're going to think of the white at the moment as our negative space. That means that it's the background, right? The negative space. The positive space is the line that we created, all right? So all our negative spaces are going to resemble bubbles, or I like to think of them as kind of like lava lamp shapes. So if I look in here, right here, I'm going to take all the points and round them out so that this moon shape doesn't have any points at all. So now my negative space is rounded. Okay, and then I'm going to fill them in with my Sharpie. Now another thing I like to do, sometimes maybe I end up having a shaky hand. I've had students complain about their shaky hands and they're trying to round out things and it's just like, it just doesn't work. Sometimes just working with something bigger like a regular Sharpie helps. So maybe this comes into a point, maybe I'll just end up making a new shape with it. Okay. And round it out. Wherever I have a corner or a point. See, there's a point here. I'm going to make it disappear like that. And I could go back and forth using the extra fine tip or the regular Sharpie. Okay. So I'm now going to fast forward so you don't have to see me do this slowly. I'm going to go through all these points that I have so far. There aren't that many. Now that I've curved out all my negative space so they resemble bubbles, I'm going to draw more lines so there's more to this artwork. Notice how all my lines are very flowy. I don't have any jagged lines there. Okay. However, if you accidentally put in some jagged lines, let's say somebody next to you bumps into you. All right, so there's a jagged line there. I can easily turn that into an organic shape. So I'm still going to round out the edges. And now, if you notice, there are no points in the white spaces or in the negative space. And maybe here, where there's a point with the black, I'm going to make it into a loop. Now I'm going to end up smoothing out all these white spaces so you can see that they're rounded. Okay, now I'm going to make a mistake that a lot of students tend to make when making these things, is they might do balls like that or circles or dots. And notice how if you really look carefully, that created 2 points here instead of just 1 in each of these white spots. I want to smooth them out So those white spots look more organic. Like I said, similar to a lava lamp. Okay, and there we go. So you could have something like that. Another mistake that sometimes students make, creating another line so you can see. So for example, right here, sometimes students are a little bit rough with their lines. And they say, oh, I need a new paper, I messed up. You can still fix it. So I'm going to take this space and round them out, and maybe I'll make extra little bubbles here. But I still have to round out the white spaces around it. And I think it actually adds character when you have those little round spaces. So notice you still see corners in this white shape here. I'm going to round those corners out so you don't see them. And I see corner in this little blob here, so I'm going to round that out as well. And now it's all organic.